Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm V, and today we're going to talk about 3 signs that indicate that maybe you have nefarious guides. Because the truth is, not all spirit guides are benevolent spirits, and not all spirits are guiding us back to God, back to home, and on our natural path of life. And so today I want to give in some insight here that might help you go, oh, wait, that's interesting. I'd never thought about that. Maybe there is something here. But as always, I encourage you to use your discernment. If this doesn't feel resonant with you, or your nefarious attachments are telling you that I'm a cuckoo bananas, that's totally fine. I can live. We're all going to live. But the most important thing is that you're taking what resonates and that you're releasing what doesn't. But I got my handy dandy notes here, and we're going to begin. So, 3 signs your guides aren't benevolent. Number 1 is bargaining. And this is something that I wish I would have known when I was channeling the Arcturian Council for multiple years. And they were telling me that I was going to be a millionaire if I delivered that message. Idiot. Like bozo. Anyway, oh my God, I'm embarrassed for myself. They were stroking me, but not YouTube, don't take this down. Not in like that kind of way. You know what I mean? It was just, they were bargaining with me. You deliver this message, we'll do this. Thank you for delivering this message. Stroking my ego. Like, this is what you're going to get in return. We'll heal this if you do this. There's some sense of bargaining, and it might not always be as obvious as that, but it's definitely in the conversation somewhere, some way. For me, it got more obvious the more I channeled them. Whoever I was channeling. I don't know if they were actually the Arcturians at this time. Now, many years in hindsight, I don't know. I don't really care to know. It's like we've learned our lesson, we've moved on. But one major sign is that there's bargaining in whatever connecting being, guide, spirit that you're working with. They shouldn't bargain. There's nothing to bargain. They're them, you're you. You choose to have a connection with them or not. But you're in the power. They're in their power, and there's no trade necessary. Number 2, forcing information. This is when you see a TikToker who got woken up at 2 a.m. with crusty eyeballs with a message for the collective. Thinking that that is holy, thinking that that is benevolent, thinking that that is accurate. And I don't know if you checked out my 3 signs you have benevolent guide video, but I did speak to this where I think we can maybe all agree that we want to belong. And on a biological level, if we don't belong, that's a threat. And so we feel that. We want to belong to something. And so when we start to develop these relationships with different ETs, different spirits, different guides, there's this feeling of importance. And I think in a lot of ways, the spiritual community, in the psychics of the spiritual community, it has become normal to become like a puppet psychic, is what I like to call it. Look what I can do. Here's my shock factor. And you see this even in somatic work as well. You see facilitators sharing the videos of the marketing material with people having full convulsions and calling that like the normal way. And this is not to knock on people who are doing that, but there's also something to be said about it being a little bit more natural, or it not needing to be shock value in order for it to be important or a value or true. And so when there's this force of information, I think a lot of us have a misconception about what it means to be a psychic. Like it needs to come through when we're at the supermarket, or it needs to come through consistently from all these different beings. Like if I don't have 9 deities who I said came through a TikTok, like, do you even think I'm valid? When really, like, what I want to educate here is actually your self-importance has absolutely nothing to do with how many deities you're channeling and the time that you're channeling it. Actually, your self-importance comes from the dignity and respect and the standard you hold for yourself, where you actually care more about living a good life and then doing this work, than this work being your entire life. And so when there's forcing of information, it's invasive, and it's usually feeding, this will be my 3rd point, like feeding a part of our ego that wants to feel like it belongs, or it matters, or that it's important, or that we're good at what we do, that what we're doing is real. Because if it's not coming through in a way that's shocking, then maybe it's not real. I want to demystify that and share with you all that I've been doing this work for 6 years. I would say 2 years of it was pretty ridiculous, very reckless, very new age. But now I do my work in complete control, and something something really healed in me because it showed me a lot of my insecurities about, just like I'm speaking about, if I'm not delivering messages, my clients aren't feeling good all the time, if I'm not being a conduit for all these ET conversations, and maybe I'm not actually this, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe it was feeding some sort of shame that I was kind of hiding in the ways of which I was working. And when I stopped doing that and I self reflected, I realized that I don't need to have forced information in order to be valuable. I don't need to look cool on the internet and show people that I can channel what the lotto numbers are in order to be valid. And as an energy healer, I trust that God is going to bring the people to me, even if I'm not creating marketing material about how people changed so fast in record time. Like maybe there's a better way. And it brought up a lot of insecurity for me. But now I'm like, this is the only way, as far as I'm concerned, to actually trust somebody, right? You know, that saying like money talks, but wealth whispers. Same sort of thing with nefarious guides. Like if they're talking, barking, forcing information, then maybe they're not necessarily benevolent. And if that brings up something of insecurity, like I only know how to feel valid when I'm getting all of this shocking material, I want you to know that it's totally okay, that your validity was never in question. And actually, your accuracy becomes more in question when you feel like you don't get to have a say. You get to live an extraordinary life of control to preserve your own energy and then also do this work. And if there's any sort of force, then maybe you're not dealing with guides that you want to be working with. The final piece here is 3 signs that your guides are not benevolent is feeding your ego. Right? When the Arcturians told me that if I did this, something would happen, it's the bargaining, but it's also feeding that part of me that grew up in a small town. My mom told me from a young age, we'll always be poor, but we'll never look it. And so I wore expensive clothes that actually I got for $5 at a yard sale, that the rich kids sold me the clothes before it opened for everybody else, just so I could look like I belonged, like my life was secondhand. And when I started my business, that was a story. Like I was going to look some type of way, but deep down, it was actually going to be this. And so when I started to channel, it was feeding off of that. I felt important because I was connecting and I felt like I understood who I was as a hybrid being. And that was all beautiful. But there was also this part of the beings that I was working with that was feeding that part of me that's like, this looks like this. And don't worry, we're going to give you this. And it was satisfying a part of me that was like, if I had $1 million, like I would belong. Or if I had this thing, like I would feel good. I would feel enough. I would feel whatever, insert. So something about feeding your ego that makes us feel important, but should really make us question if the beings that we're connecting with are really true. You know, on TikTok is the only example that's coming through because it's where I see different readers. When I see all of these deities and all of these messages and they're really hitting a part of somebody's ego, like you're gonna make in the next 7 days like the biggest breakthrough of your life, people are like, yeah. And then when it doesn't happen, it's like, oh, what about the thing that's like you're changing your relationship with peace and your nervous system is going through a lot of upgrades right now and it's okay? Like, can that message still feel as good as you're going to have this, and this is going to be amazing? For me, when I've been working with benevolent guides, I get more messages like that in a little less of, well, here's something that we're going to say that we know deep down you actually really want. And it's going to inflate your ego and you're going to feel important for a second. Nefarious guides tend to feed off of that. Benevolent guides tend to give you more of what you need. They don't need to feed your ego. They want to give you the truth when they are benevolent. And when they're the nefarious, they need to feed your ego because they need to keep you feeling like you need something else in order to be better. And that was never in question. You're already the best. So, does this resonate with you? Do you see this more in the world around us? And where is this bringing up something for you? I'd love to hear it in the comments. I've been reading everybody's comments so far, and I'm super excited to be here. I love educating about this. I love talking about this because I am a humble student who made a lot of errors on our psychic development journey, and now I'm bringing that material, and I hope that it's of service to you. All right, everybody, if you like this, please like, share, subscribe, do your thing. Please spread the message. We all are on a path of securing our ascension. See you soon.